Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Where's the #1 place to find all the video games within the context of when they came out? Right here on Chronologically Gaming. Welcome to the beginning of November 1982. And we were last in the United Kingdom playing Centipede, but not real Centipede. It's unofficial Centipede on the BBC Micro. Before we go forward, we must go back. I have to re-rate Catacombs because after playing it again and again, it is better than a 3-star game. While it does have keyboard controlled only, it offers diagonal movement as a roguelike, and it allows you to burrow through walls. 3.5 stars for Catacombs. Keep going and give us more of those. All right, so after Centipede, let's see what our next release is. Next, we're going to the Atari 2600. That console just keeps on going. This is Challenge of Nexar. Let's check it out. Starting with the box. I've stressed this with lots of box fronts and covers that we've seen. These boxes that originally came out were supposed to be like some of them shiny and metallic. A Magic is one of those two. SpectraVision is another one. But this right here is a reconstructed fabrication of what it would have been like to hold a brand new box, but you can't really hold the brand new box now because most of the time when you try to scan these things, they don't look quite right. So this marks the 163rd game we've played on the Atari 2600. There's no stopping them. And this, by SpectraVision, is the 3rd game we've seen by this company. All of them have been on the Atari 2600. You can see the front of the box is sci-fi. In fact, is that another reference to Star Wars? The ship looks like a snowspeeder on the front. We're going to see Star Wars and Star Trek references until this show ends, because I don't even think it's ever going to end. It's just going to keep going. Let's flip it over in the back. Beyond galaxies known to man, beyond time as we perceive it, lies the source of inner power. Oh man, we're going to be finding inner power on our Atari 2600? Okay. So you can see it works with, wait a second, why are they showing 2 joysticks there? Oh, I think it is 2-player, but you can't play at the same time. For one brave warrior at a time, we salute you. What other artwork do we have for a Challenge of Nexar? Nexar, there it is. That's what the scan would look like if you just took the box and scanned it like that. We want to hear some bloops and bleeps, all on Chronologically Gaming. The ad you would have seen from magazines at the time looks kind of like this, and they still have the snowspeeder on the front. Sci-fi video games, there's so many. We have over 800 sci-fi games we played on the show. There's a bunch out there. This one was ported over by Sirius Software, a very, very well-to-do publisher and developer. This is the 37th game that Sirius Software has done on the show, and this marks the 5th time Sirius Software has brought us anything that we've seen on the Atari. There it is, SpectraVision's cartridge that we're going to pop in. Every one of the third-party publishers, some of them get really unique and just changing what the cartridge is like. So this one, it's if you've ever held a SpectraVision cartridge, it feels a little bit more plasticky and fake than the other cartridges. You have to hold it in your hand to experience it yourself, but it doesn't feel as authentic as those bricks that you put in back in 1977 to the Atari. And there's an example of the screenshot. That's right. Thanks, Brian. Here's the manual for Challenge of Nexar. Tell us how to play. It boasts a multi-level mission for one brave warrior at a time. Beyond galaxies, yes. The Challenge of ... Nexar, which is an alternate title if you want to also call it that too. So it explains the table of contents here. Warning before going further, the Challenge of Nexar should only be attempted by experienced players of at least cadet level or higher. SpectraVision will not be held responsible for those who do not return. Nice. If you have high blood pressure or dislike video games, do not attempt Nexar. Just remember that before we boot the game up. All right, you've ignored our warning very well. Upon presentation, your encoded identity cartridge will be sent to the entrance. Really cool, interesting idea to do that in the manual, getting you in the zone before you begin the game. There are radioactive beacons that have to be destroyed. The beacons are guarded by impact exploding saucers, which guard the beacons. There they are, the impact exploding saucer above my head and the radioactive beacon. To become a spectra-warrior, you have to survive all 99 levels. 99 levels? We don't have time for that. How many people played all 99 levels of Challenge of Nexar? Those who go beyond will receive their due recognition. Over on the left, it once again explains how consoles work and how to set them up. Make sure you power off the system, put the cartridge in, then power on the system. I can't believe they're still explaining this right now. It does look like Thai saucers, Manly. And then it begins here. Right above my head is the screenshot, and I'm so glad they do this in the manual, telling me what everything is. That's the number of shields, our time, number of beacon, what the Thai saucers look like. Nice. You can always pause this as we're going through here on the show. If you want to get the tips and tricks and all the information from the manual, it explains the scoring right above my head here. That's nice. And then a warranty. Oh, man. Maybe years from now, hundreds of years, people will be tuning into Chronologically Gaming to be able to play these games because no one will have the physical manual. All right, so it's also available in PAL regions. Let's pop in and play Challenge of Nexar. This was done by David Lubar, Serious Software, and published by Spectravision in the beginning of November 1982. And we're in. This is not me playing. This is the attract mode that begins from the start of the game. This is David Lubar's first game that we've seen here on the show. He did do an educational title called Volcanoes on the Apple II that we didn't see. And we also saw Worm War 1 by David Lubar. And if you haven't seen Worm War 1, you need to check that one out. If that's enough bleeps and bloops for you, I don't know what is. All right, let's go into it. I have game modes 1, 2, 3. Okay, so they didn't explain it too much. All the game modes 2 and 3 do is add additional ships, but it's not that much different. And there is a single-player only game. So if you're going to play with 2 people, you just pass the joystick back and forth. All right, ready, set, go. I am the cursor. Look at that, crosshair on the screen. I fire shots freely all the way around. Nice. I can see the Thai saucers coming at us. Every time I fire a shot, it kind of goes down the center like a well. If you were going to play or compare this to something like Tempest, is what I was going to say. But you can see the action is frenetic, intense. They're doing this pseudo 3D effect in the back, having the multiple colors flying on the screen. Wow, yeah. I couldn't really call this Tempest though, because even though the shot is firing that way, I got freedom to move all the way around. Like I can, like, I don't feel the restrictions of Tempest. Get it going, and you can see I'm working through level by level. It is a complete score attack game. Oh, they still got me in the explosion. Oh man, yeah, but it's very, very fast. As someone who has played plenty and plenty of Atari games, this one's a little unique just because on the home console, this style of game, there's not as many out there. But the way that they're presenting this is very, very simple. And the gameplay is very, very simple. Yeah, I saw in the chat, this does sound like the majority of all the games you could ever play on the Atari VCS. Yeah, the sound effects, though. Hear the slight nuance of as the ships are approaching, the sound changes. It's really, really nice. So nowadays, and we would call these games rail shooters. And there's several subgenres of rail shooters that are out there, like the trench run shooter, which takes its homage from Star Wars on the Death Star. And there's also the chase view rail shooter, where your ship is moving around. I couldn't call it a chase view because it's just a crosshair that moves around. But I have no control over how fast I'm moving. It's just, I'm just riding the rail and shooting things up. That's why it would be considered just a straight rail shooter. And as far as all the games we played up to this point that are rail shooters, this is the 17th rail shooter. There's 5 really good ones that we played in the arcade, and home computers have had a few rail shooters too. But on the console space, there's only a handful. One of the first ones we ever saw was Star Strike on the Intellivision, which that was more of a trench run rail shooter. It looked like you were playing Star Wars going down the Death Star. And I wasn't as impressed control-wise. Maybe it's because I'm not as partial to the Intellivision. But then after that, we also played Star Battle on the Bally Astrocade. And that was, again, was like a trench run shooter. Not this one that has the freedom like this. One of the most recent ones we played was Zaxxon on the Atari. That one played like a chase view rail shooter, which wasn't like the Zaxxon on the arcade, but it was an on rails, like I had no control over the speed of the ship in Zaxxon. This one still reminds me that right now there's no way to play anything like Tempest on a home console, or there's no way to play like a true on-rails game for a home console. This is just another one of those games that it actually shows the impressiveness of the Zaxxon port, even though it wasn't true Zaxxon, because all we're seeing with this game is this. Just as far how far can you go? Shoot as many enemies without dying or blowing up, because after they blow up, you see the shrapnel that comes to the screen? That is something else you have to avoid too. Yeah, I like the freedom. So control-wise, it works all right. It's just not doing anything super impressive. Uh-oh. I think I missed that one. But really clever use of 3 dimensions on the Atari 2600. Notice that they're using this. It's not really sprite scaling because they don't have sprites, but they're using the stretch image to fly at you to make you think that it's flying at you. Really, really clever. Yes, oh yeah, we haven't seen Buck Rogers yet, but that would be another example of something like a chase view rail shooter. The very first Buck Rogers game is not out yet. You're speaking of the future. Alright, so there you go, it's 3D on the Atari 2600. While it is unique that we haven't played a game that's quite like this on a home console, majority of these were arcade and home computers, I still would say the gameplay itself is simplistic, even though the 3D graphic look of stuff flying at you. We played a few games that were like combat, space combat games, you know, where you're flying around in a ship a little bit, but it doesn't do anything to push really the games on this point. So I'm looking over the chat and I see mostly 3. Yeah, there's not as many enemy types. I'm with you there too. I see a 3.5 from Brian. Yep, 3.5 from Manly, but mostly 3. So I'm actually going to go the same way. It is very average for all the games you can play up to this point. I wouldn't say anything bad if you just want a really well done shooter and from a different perspective. It's kind of fresh, but at this point, it's still about average. So there you go, Challenge of Nexar. Let's get some more 3D on our home consoles after that. Next up is the latest release in November on our TRS-80 is Chicken. Let's play some Chicken. Another TRS-80 game that doesn't have a lot of artwork. All I have is this ad in the bottom left corner way down there is Chicken. Don't chicken out on the TRS-80. This shouldn't be confused with Chicken on the TRS-80 from 1979 or Chicken that we played on the Atari home computer by Ace or Synapse Software. There's another Chicken too. So there's a Chicken by Synapse Software and there's a Chicken by Ace on the Atari home computer. This is a completely different Chicken. Too many Chicken games that are out there. All right, let's pop in some Chicken and play. This is by John Weaver Jr. and factory programming imposed by Soft Sector Marketing Incorporated at the beginning of November 1982. This is the 132nd game for the TRS-80 that we played on the show. And I want to play Chicken. Yes, we're ready to rock. Factory Programming and John Weaver Jr. have already appeared on Chronologically Gaming. This is the 3rd game that we've seen by them. The other ones were Rally and Dexys. Nice. I really would like to check out these addresses because majority of these games are not just including the programmers and developers, they're including the address and see if they still exist. So use the arrow keys to move your chicken through traffic as fast as possible. Score bonus points if you make it across. Oh, there's those awesome TRS-80 effects. So it's beginning like an arcade game. This is all in attract mode. And this chicken is very, very luckily making it across the side. Soft Sector Marketing has already done games we've seen on the show too. This is the 4th game we've seen by Soft Sector Marketing. And as far as video games with a chicken, this would be like the 4th game where you play as a chicken, if that's your thing. All right, here we go. Let's spacebar to begin. Oh, actually, I don't want to use spacebar. Yeah, joystick works. I'll take that. Sweet. Oh, yeah, spacebar didn't work, so we have to use spacebar. All right, there we go. So we're in. Yep, joystick does work. I have only the movement of left and right, so I cannot go up and down, or the freedom that most Frogger games would have. Yes, I looked in the chat, and this is really similar to Freeway by David Crane, Activision on the Atari. So this is like one of the first times we've seen well, I guess the second time. We played another one called Chicken too, that it was like a variant of Freeway by Activision. So all I am doing is just getting the timing to get across the street. Very, very, very quaint, very simple. I really enjoy the little animation they used on the legs of the chicken to cross. Plus, I have no beak. Does this answer the question why the chicken crossed the road? I don't think so. So I have a time limit. How fast I make it across the street will determine how many points I get. Very, very simple idea. We saw this all the way back with Freeway. Yeah, I still would call this a Frogger variant because we called Freeway a variant as well. This is the 29th game that plays kind of like Frogger, or the idea of Frogger. Freeway was the same thing. That was July 1981 that we saw Freeway, and so it's been over a year, since we've seen anything like this. But we have already seen Chicken that was on the Atari home computer, and I always feel stilted whenever I can only move one direction. I can't go and do anything else. It's just very simple. If you showed someone this game and they had no idea what the title of the game is, because it doesn't show up here, would you have guessed this is Chicken? We just look like we're someone who's hunched over trying to make our way across the street. Oh, very, very simple, though. This is almost like to the point that it's a one-button game, just because of how simple, but it is using the joystick to move around. I highly recommend the other game we've already seen by John Weaver Jr., the game called Vexus. Check that one out. That one's much more impressive than this one. First glance. But if you want to make a game that's a simple Frogger variant or Freeway variant, I don't think we're going to track Freeway variants. So the reason the chicken crossed the road is to go for the high score. That's the answer. And I'm just going to die and splat. And they give us little tunes and music. On the TRS-80, that's pretty rare. We get sound effects and scene transitions and stuff. Cool. We get to put our name in, too. So they got a high score table. So it's incorporating what we've seen with lots of the games on the TRS-80, giving you that arcade feel. So even though it's a simple idea, simple concept, it still feels like an arcade game with that high score table. So there you go. Of all the games you can be playing across all home computers, it's pretty similar to the chicken game we played that was by Ace. Atari Computer Exchange, I believe is what it is. So it's all right. It's just a time waster. It seems very, very simple. Yeah, two finger licking good sounds about right too. I see lots of twos. That's our bad rating for everything you could be playing. 2.5 from Tisky. Oh yeah, that's right. Probably around there. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to call it bad or not, because I really enjoy these games on the TRS-80. If you're down in the 2-star range, that's usually saying, it's bad. But I really don't want to say, I don't know if I want to say 2.5, just because of how simple it is. It's got a little bit of love to it. So yeah, I'll say 2 stars still. Because there's much better games you can be playing. And think of all the Frogger games. As the 29th game that's like Frogger right now, there's plenty of others out there that are blowing it through the roof. All right, there we go. Yes. And Nexar, yes, you got to check out that one too. All right, after that, let's see what our next release is. From one home computer to another, we're now on the Commodore VIC-20, and this is the release of Choplifter. Really excited for this one. Let's check out Choplifter. If you already saw it, or your friends play it on the Apple II, and then saw it on the Atari home computer, and you're like, come on, when's it going to come to my computer, the VIC-20? Here it is. This is it. We first saw the Apple II version in May 1982, 5 stars all the way, incredible. And then on the Atari home computer in October 1982. So this is the 3rd official release of Choplifter on the Commodore VIC-20. No additional memory required. Are they crazy? They had to be able to put memory in here. This is by a completely different company than what we saw on the other systems, and different artwork too. So this marks the 304th game we've played on the Commodore VIC-20. And this is Creative Software. This is the 15th game we've seen by them. Let's flip it over on the back. Oh, brought to us by Tom Greiner for the VIC-20. Way to go, Tom. This is the 9th game we've seen by Tom Greiner, and we just saw Black Hole by Tom Greiner. He usually does some cool graphic effects, so I want to see what he does with this one. Your mission is to rescue the American hostages from the enemies and return them safely to the U.S. You must pilot your helicopter past tanks, jet airplanes, we hate those, and killer satellites to get the hostages. After landing and picking up a load of men, you must return them safely back to the U.S. base. Yes, it's Choplifter, they're explaining on the back. This game requires a joystick, so there's no keyboard control. That's interesting. There's the scoring and how to play, and I don't believe we have the paperwork. So right here on the box is what we're going to be showcasing for how to play the game. And I believe they're going to use the same control scheme that they did on the Atari home computer. Let's see what they do. What other artwork do we have for Choplifter? Let's do this. Besides the box, there's the cart. This is on cart on the VIC-20. So no addition. You can do an unexpanded VIC-20, pop the cartridge in, and play Choplifter. That is so cool. Yes, I'm amazing. All right, so there's the example of a screenshot, but let's just go into it. This one's available in NTSC or PAL regions. We're going to play the first in North America. This is Choplifter. Tom Greiner brought it to us by Creative Software, and then later in the United Kingdom by Audiogenic. So it's the beginning of November 1982. This is it. We've already played lots of games by Tom Greiner. He's done some pretty good ones on the Commodore VIC-20. And this is the 21st game we played where you are controlling a helicopter or a helicopter is present. Not that many games across all systems that have a helicopter. Look at this. You can tell, again, Tom Greiner is putting some love into the presentation. You even have his name at the top. The eye is waving. I mean, that's really charming. Yes. Broderbund. Didn't have anything to do with this one. They just offered the license to allow Creative Software to do it. Broderbund brought us the original. Go, Broderbund, go. All right, so let's go right in. Don't think they have anything after this one. Oh my gosh, see, more graphic effects. I knew Tom Greiner was going to do that. Awesome. So there's our first chopper. Let's go. Joystick control, digital joystick, got it plugged in. Oh, already I'm feeling the controls. They don't feel as floaty. I feel more direct than the other games. But let's see how they do the controls. So I tap the only button I have on the Commodore VIC-20 joystick, and then if I hold it down, that's how you turn. That's it. So it's holding or tapping to make it work. Look at what we're seeing here, though. They're using like the star field for some of the parallax scrolling. That's really nice. And there, before you go to the zone to drop your crew down, they're giving you the same barrier they did on the other one. All right, so let's get into this. See how this controls. All right, so I gotta watch my shots. All right, quick, everyone just get in. The tank's coming. I know it's coming. There it is. I already knew it too. Is it gonna say my second? Yes, second choppa. This for the Commodore VIC-20 is really impressive. How this controls, how this plays. Oh, is that somebody right by the... Oh, I thought someone was waving over there. All right, come on, quick. Why are you running? Come back here. The tank is on the way. We've already lost 5 people boarded. All right, I gotta watch my shot. Notice how I can blow up other people. And it keeps a tally in the top left of the number of people you've killed, the number that are in your chopper, and the number that you've saved. So far, I'm seeing pretty much this port bringing over everything we've seen on the other systems. This star field in the back is a nice touch. I don't think the other ports had that. All right, we land. Everybody gets dropped off. So it's a rescue mission, or we've been keeping track of these as like a transport game where you're transporting either items or people. This is the 43rd game we played that's a transport vehicular game. Oh, there's the jet. It doesn't seem so bad on the Commodore VIC-20. I'm already seeing a little bit of a chug because this is the unexpanded VIC-20. So it feels like we're pushing the Commodore VIC-20 really far. Okay, so we got another building opened up. Everyone get on. Get to the chopper! Quick! Okay, yeah, go. We'll head back now. That's what usually gets you is the jets that come back around on the right side. So already very, very impressive. Choplifter is still one of the best games you can play across any home computer right now. And this port is no exception. Well done, Tom. Well done, Creative Software. I wonder how much involvement Broderbund had with this, because they're still top. I'm sure they had to have influenced in some way. The only reason I wouldn't say this one would compare to the Apple II version is oh, we get some other enemy types now. Is because of the controls, because the Apple II had 2 buttons you could have used. It was using the analog joystick, so you also felt like you had a little bit more fluid control. But here, and just like the Atari home computer, you have to use 1 button and essentially know when to tap the button or when to hold the button down. Yep, you can see that slowdown. And see right here, this is where I was saying about the controls. I don't have the same fluidity to move back and forth. It's still not that big of a gripe, though, because if you had this, you would have a blast. All right, so let's land. Quick, quick, quick. Get to the choppa. Yeah, and imagine that this is on a cartridge. Oh, no. I thought that was going to get me. Without any additional memory. It's got great presentation. Another thing that this one has missing for it is the ending. We're not going to get to the ending on the showcase, but when you see the ending of the game, it's missing. If you manage to rescue all 64 hostages, the title screen just appears again. So while we got some really good presentation in the beginning of this port, the end of the port just says, you know, where's the congratulations? We don't get anything for saving everybody. Oh, nope. Send it back. Send it back. Similar enemy types that we saw before. They animated the eye and Choplifter at the top, too. Yeah. Oh, man. See, this feels like one of the other games we're pushing on the Commodore VIC-20. We've gone too far. Now it's time for our 3rd chopper. So I'm already seeing some ratings from the chat. Above average from Paul, or actually, I'm seeing 3.5 or 4, and then another one if it's only on the Commodore VIC-20. Yeah, since we're rating this across all other home computers, I still say Choplifter's great. I'd have a lot of fun playing this one. The Atari version and the Apple II version are exceptional. The first one still on the Apple II, it still holds 5 stars. And at this point, we've already seen just a couple Choplifter variants. One of the very best ones you could play is Lunar Leaper on the Commodore VIC-20. It's incredible. It's really, really good. Apple II is not so great. So how do we get these guys out? I think they need to be blown open. Yeah, maybe they have to be smashed open to come out. So yeah, Lunar Leaper, it's also an older game, so because of the year it came out, I gave that one a higher rating. But you still could see how Lunar Leaper compares to this one, going to rescue someone and bring them back. That's right, they don't use sortie. In the other 2 versions they did. Alright, look, we have an invisible... I haven't seen that in too many video games. Playing a shoot 'em up and we have an invisible wall here. That's awesome. And I think that's there's our game over. See all the presentation we're getting? We just won't get that at the end. So another one that we played that was a really well done Choplifter variant, it was in the arcade called Rescue. September of this year in 1982. That one is awesome for all the games you could play on the arcade game or arcade scene. But this port is still very, very well done. If you look at all the other games you can play on the Commodore VIC-20, easily 4.5 or 5 stars. It's like one of the must-haves for a Commodore VIC-20. Across all home computers, I would go even a little bit lower. Slight slowdown, but very technically impressive. I see a 4.5 from Charlie out there in the chat. No way, you're not getting me this time, Tank. And then, yep. If you have seen all the other games we've seen across all home computers, this is still excellent. Yes, I know, we're not going to see that version later. In fact, I don't think Sega has anything at home right now, couldn't? There's, the only thing you can see by Sega is in the arcades. Alright, so while it has the limitations of the Commodore VIC-20, Choplifter, done very, very well. I'm going to have to say, of all the games you could play up to this point, it's still one of the best of all the games across all home computers. Not going to notch it as high as what we saw on the Apple II, but it's still excellent. 4.5 stars of all the games right now you could play across all home computers. Remember, this is only the third port, so there's not really a lot of options for getting something like this, except like Lunar Leaper at home. There's a few others, but they don't play identical or this close to Choplifter. It's excellent. There you go. All right, it's time to put the video game playing on pause, or hit the break key if you're on a home computer. We're going to continue playing every single video game across all platforms all over the world. Be sure to tune in next time on Chronologically Gaming, because we have more games for the Atari 2600. How many publishers do they have on that console now? We will also play as royalty, being the king or maybe an emperor in a new simulation game. And maybe we'll get to a new game for the Valley Astrocade or Videocade, whatever you would want to call it. I'm getting these mixed up. These consoles keep switching publishers and companies like there's something wrong in the console gaming market. I don't know what's going on. That's it for today, and like I always say, you better get to making those games now before the lawyers start suing. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.